put you back on mute.
All right, Joel, we're ready.
We ready for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You gotta just click the OK over there.
Roll call. We have all present. We do have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second? I didn't catch who moved and seconded, but you got it, Kathy?
I do, thank you.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Do we have any communications tonight from citizens?
No.
None being. Consent agenda. Got a motion to approve the consent agenda, approval of the minutes, October 12th, 2021. Approval of the bills, October 13th, 2021 through October 26th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Weaver,
Nope. Demi.
Councilman Demick.
Yes.
Okay.
By Bob.
And seconded by Councilman Zent. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I have some question on the bills. The bill for Jim Gores, number 959, is that for the surveying or?
That is actually for the senior center's roof documents. And so we pay it and then the senior center reimburses the town for that.
Okay. And then the one for Fremont Home Inspectors. Is that the asbestos?
Correct. That's part of the asbestos extra sampling they had to do
Okay.
prior to the abatement.
No, yeah, that's all the questions I had. Just, I didn't know where those were going. They're different.
Prior to what? Which project? For senior housing or for?
For the
The-
Fremont County home inspections for the asbestos for the lip rippers and Shoshoni Motel.
Any further questions? None being, all in favor say aye. To
Aye.
approve Opposed, the same. Passed all in the affirmative. Public hearing, ordinance 2021-003, third reading.
Ordinance 2021-003. An ordinance amending code number 1-5, section 1 of the Shoshoni Town Codes as previously read and entered.
Have a motion to approve.
I'll motion it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2021-003, third reading. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. New business. Councilman member vacancy. I would like to say just a little on that. Councilman Ankeny has resigned due to health issues. Ron had worked real hard, was an important member of the council, helped get quite a bit done that we've got done this year. Has been a real contributing factor. Ron and I may not have agreed on everything, but Councilman Ankeny was willing to work and willing to discuss, willing to look at all options. He brought up a lot of good questions, did what a councilman's supposed to do. He, like I said, he's able to work together and find solutions to make things work. He had a lot of good input on this council this year, and he will be missed. But Ron, health issues just became too big of an issue, and he loved what he's doing here, and his dedication to the town was true. But real life takes over sometime, health takes over, and you got to do what's best for you. So I want to thank him for his service for the town of Shoshoni while he was been here. And anybody else have any more comments?
I agree with what you said. Had my arguments with him, that's for sure, but also had agreements with him. So, I mean, he found ways to, work with the council, whether it was with things that I was for, or whether it was things what, Bob or anybody else was for. He spoke his mind and voted how he wanted to. So he will be missed, and I am really sorry that he's going through these health issues, because a lot of us are, and it's horrible. That's all I can say, man. We got our mayor who just got out of big, huge surgery, and it just is what it is. I'm sad to see him go, and I hope he starts feeling better.
You'll be missed.
Good. He's muted, yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
Can you hear me?
there you go. Yes.
Okay, I guess our next thing we should do is ask for letters of interest to replace Ron. What would you think we would accept letters until the Monday prior to our last meeting in November. Any council members have ideas? Anybody else have a better date or open to suggestions?
That would be on the 22nd. Do we have a meeting on that Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving typically?
Correct, yeah.
So if we had the letters are due by Monday, the 22nd, then we discuss them on that meeting. How that works.
What about interviews? I'd like to have letters by the first council in November, by Monday, the first council in November, and interviews between the 9th and the 22nd, and then make the decision on the 23rd. So it gives the public 2 weeks instead of a month for the letters, and we could interview those people who, at that time.
Do you have to advertise for vacancy, or is that just more of a word of mouth, or post in the post office or Facebook?
Well, we don't have to post it in a newspaper per se, but it needs to go to the council that we'd advertise it for letters of interest. And we would definitely publish in Shoshoni in the public places, so like the library, the post office, and probably senior center, as well as online.
Is 2 weeks enough time in your opinion?
I would think so. I mean, it's up to the council to decide after that, the process for the interviews and whatnot. And then the council would have to vote in a regular meeting. Since it's not really filling an employment aspect, I think it's a little bit different with council members, that word of mouth, as well as anyone that talks to individual council members for if they wanted to apply or not. I think 2 weeks would probably.
It should be sufficient. Anybody in the community, within 2 week period of time, anybody that was interested should be able to say, I had sufficient amount of time versus I didn't know about it. I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just asking on that, I would think that would be enough time personally.
And believe this is something I looked up, and it's not exactly in the statutes on the time for vacancy. You know, on what they have to advertise, it just says you guys need to fill it and vote on it. How you go about that, I think 2 weeks would be reasonable. And making it as public as you can, considering you don't have a public newspaper here, so.
Well, I like that idea. If you post it 2 weeks, and that gives 2 weeks of decision, whatever, and it's filled by going into the holiday.
I don't have an issue with that at all.
So what day would you like me to end it on? The first meeting.
First meeting the 9th.
Okay,
So I guess due by Monday,
close of business.
close the business on that Monday, the 8th.
Okay, 8th or 9th, I don't care.
I can do the 9th, close of
Yeah.
business that way, because I'll have
Yeah.
5 o'clock and then the council meeting. but
Yeah.
I can
So
give everything to the council at that meeting. Probably would want to have I'm guessing having a executive session scheduled for that, plan on.
yeah, that'd save us from having to do a special, at least for the initial, instead of doing a special meeting.
Those meetings have to be the public meetings. They're not.
Yeah, they're not an employee.
So, because they're open to the public, but the interviews aren't.
But we're not going to interview on the 9th.
Correct. But so we don't need an executive session.
So the 9th would just be, these are the people that have applied. You would probably take whatever was the application, I guess, and put that in our packet. No, you wouldn't be able to put it in our packet.
Yeah, no, we won't even need to, excuse me, talk about it in that meeting. We could even have the interview or the deadline after that meeting. We just need to have our interviews and everything done prior to the last meeting in November. So really the date of the first meeting in Denver, first meeting in November really has no importance. because we won't be taking any action on anything at that time. All we're doing is acquiring letters of interest. And if we do it before then, we could announce who had those letters of interest at that meeting Tuesday if we wanted to, and then go through the interview process. That might work really well.
So
And
when
then
do you-
we have 2 weeks to figure it out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So Joel, are you saying to have it, do you want to keep the deadline of the 9th that the interest is due, and then we discuss it and decide on?
I can't hear you, Mike.
Do you want to have a councilman selected on the 23rd?
Yes. Yeah, we won't, well, we can interview between the 9th and the 23rd and come up with who we're gonna choose. But that way, yeah, the 23rd, we should have a councilman selected.
So then we would have a special meeting in between.
Yeah, we might have a couple special. meetings.
So I would say yes to if we plan to have Chris advertise and have a deadline due on the 9th by end of day for letters of interest.
To be determined on the special meeting or interviews.
Do you need a motion for that?
I would say so.
I don't know if we have to have one. It doesn't hurt to have one, I guess. Let's say that we're gonna replace them. I don't know. Or if we just, I think we just advertise and do it, we're probably legal.
So I make a motion to accept Ron Ankney's resignation as council member. And we have letters of recommendation or letters of interest for his vacancy due to the council by the end of the day on Tuesday, November 9th. And the new councilman member will be selected, be appointed on the 23rd of November at the council meeting.
I have a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Department head report. Clerk.
I'll give the quarterly financial update. I'll just go over a few things. This is our first quarter of fiscal year 2022. And some of our revenues are, granted, some will be higher. It just depends when they come in. As you can see, most of our revenues are right on pace for the annualized, breaking it out. Our sales use and tax and our 1 cent optional tax are significantly higher than budgeted, which I believe I spoke about during our budget meetings. Also, our fines and fees and courts and surcharge are significantly over the quarter's budget on an annualized basis. The biggest one that we're having right now that we're probably going to come a little bit under budget is going to be the mineral royalties and severance. But the overall quarter, we ended up with just under $14,000 above what was budgeted for that quarter if analyzed out. And our total combined funds balances, our checking account was $1,000 difference for the quarter as paying bills and whatnot. Our WildStar increased And the accounts receivable is actually a component of the checking account. It just hasn't come in yet. Those are one-time reimbursement charges that are pending receipt that have not been receipted yet. So our total ending balance of change from beginning of the quarter to the end of the quarter was $121,840.94. And that's from July 1 through September 30th.
What are the surcharge fees?
That is the $10 equipment replacement fee and the $10 officer training fee. That's a component of every citation that's issued. Any questions? Also included in here is our statement balance of, this is a bank reconciliation report. This shows our checking account balances with outstanding liabilities. And that's what the book balance is it's not our actual balance, it's what's left over after all liabilities are paid that haven't been cashed in the checking account, I should say. And some people hold on to their checks for quite a long time before they cash them, I guess. And this is also on our website, so anyone that wants a closer look can also go in there and look at our financial report for the quarter. And also finally, we have a vacancy in town hall, being the front desk deputy clerk position is now vacant. And like to advertise for replacement.
Is that Marnie?
Correct.
Vacant like now? Or 2 weeks, or just now?
Now,
You know, anybody take over my law cases.
Do you need a motion for that? Or will you need a motion for that?
well, the town ordinance states we have to advertise for the opening vacant full-time position. So I'd probably say have a motion to open it up for the council officially.
Do you have more stuff you need to discuss?
That was it.
Okay.
So I move that town advertise for deputy clerk.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that the town advertise for a deputy clerk. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. I guess we're down to mayor's report. I'd like to touch base a little bit. Chris may be able to chirp in on this also. Let's talk a little bit about me, then we'll get on to business. I had a slight heart attack, got chest pains. I was up in Elk Camp, October 8th. Started getting some pains, drove myself to Waltman, had my wife and my daughter meet me and took me to Casper. And then it was discovered we had a slight heart attack. They researched that a little better, and I had blockage in 5 of them. So they had to do a bypass surgery. So had to wait a few days in the hospital for that, before they had beds open. And, anyway, got the surgery completed on the 15th. It was successful. I got discharged out of the hospital in Casper about 4 o'clock Sunday, and my wife brought me home. So I'm back in town. I'm doing very well. I'm gonna be in therapy probably 3 to 4 months, it looks like. The next couple weeks I can't drive for another couple weeks before I'll be able to drive. But I'm doing well. Doctors are happy. One of my nurses been in that hospital 27 years, and she told me that I was probably in the top 10% of all the heart patients she's seen that came out and leaving the hospital mentally and physically. So in the hospital, I got to where I was walking a mile a day. Last 4 days I was in there, I walked a mile a day. So things are okay. It's there's still things we're working on, and getting me mended, and I'm still taking some medication, but hopefully in 3-4 months I'll be in pretty good shape. So anyway, so let's get that out. Anyway, and then let's go to, I want to talk just a little bit about while I was waiting for my operation down in the hospital. They wouldn't let me leave. I offered to let them have the bed if they had someone that was really sick, but they said, no, you got to stay here. So we had a meeting with the Wyoming Business Council, a couple of them, and I was able to do that Zoom from the hospital. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about those meetings?
The one with, let me mute you.
Well, we had 2 of them, one with for the study, or I can continue on. One was for the study for the full service hotel, correct?
Yeah, here, I was making sure I was talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Put you on mute though. Sorry, you just have a lot of feedback. So we had they call it a site visit with the business council, which they weren't able to actually be here in person for, so we did it via Zoom. Basically, there's a host of questions they had about the proposal, one being the sewer, one being the feasibility study. And the biggest takeaway from that was the director of the business council recognized the things that have been done in Shoshoni as she was passing through the state for the first time in 12 years. And so she was talking about before versus now and the things that are changing and the excitement that she felt down in Cheyenne. And that was a big component of it. The feasibility study, they talked about back in the day when there was hotels and the amount of traffic that comes through the town. And so while they didn't vote after that, following that meeting, everyone on the business council that would be voting, after we answered their questions, which I can't remember every one, there was 14 different questions they had. And they were all pretty excited about things that are going on in Shoshoni and have been very supportive of it. They did mention that despite their recommendations, yay or nay, the SLIB would be the ultimate deciding factor, and whether they're for it or not isn't going to change that. They did point out that our initial cost estimates should be revised due to the COVID increases in prices and commodities. And so we did reach out to Gores on the PER, and they are going to reevaluate the contingency to make sure that any funding that is approved has enough funding available in that to pay for it. So we're not getting a grant award from SLIB and then coming in way over budget if we actually get awarded the grants for both projects. It's pretty much the biggest takeaways that I had from it. I'll let you talk now again.
Yeah, I believe the meeting, especially with the sewer line expansion, was extremely positive. But Ed Bobby, the manager or the operations manager of the mushroom plant was also there. And they quizzed him quite a bit about their business model, plans in the future, wages, how many employees. It was, I believe, a very, I walked away there feeling very positive that he was able to provide the information they needed. And like Chris said, they at the end, they wanted us to make sure that we had enough funding in there for that, because pretty hard to go back and ask for more. So nope, I was real happy with that. That's basically, I've been kind of out of hat lately, so that's really the big news I got that I can think of. Any of the council members have anything they would like to add?
I talked to Buddy earlier in the week about a rain gutter across the door at the medical center. There isn't one. And so, I mean, everything just runs straight off that front door, and he said he'd check it out. And he hasn't gotten back with me yet. It's something we should look at for safety issues for those people who go into that building, especially when it starts to freeze in the spring and there's no rain gutter there. It's in that salt box front where the main door is.
Right, and it doesn't, so yeah, it comes off that.
He was over there yesterday. I couldn't say if he was looking at that, but I believe he was parked over there.
But I did talk to him about that, and he said he'd check it out. It's just something that, for safety issue, for people who use that building, we should have one.
And we got a meeting tomorrow with Brad Brink as well, so I'll make sure I bring that up with,
Okay.
when he's here with Buddy and get
Good.
back.
That's all I have.
I was at the mushroom farm today. They had a big get together over there. They had a bunch of people from California that were there, and they had one of their church services there that I attended also today, and got to see some of the things that they're working on for their future here. And they got some exciting things in the work. You guys ever want to go there and talk to them about it? I mean, it was some neat things. I don't want to say anything to the public on what they're doing, because I don't think it's general knowledge yet, but there's some neat things, including employment, of course. But I was pretty impressed with some of the things they got working on there. They've been doing a lot of work out there. And that's really all I got to say, but I did get to go out there, and I spent about 2 hours out there today. Being left pretty impressed with what's going on. That's all I got.
Anybody, anything else? Any questions from the audience?
No.
None being. None being, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion it.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adjourn this town council meeting. Any further discussion? None being. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned at
7:39.
7:39. Thank you. Thanks, guys.